Hello friends, I am Jenny. Today I want to share with you a few tips on how to create a successful container that will last you all season long. We are about to enter into the 2022 growing season. I don't know if you are like me, I bet you are. Very, very excited and ready to get our hands back in the dirt and get those plants to growing. Now, step one, you got to find a container. I always recommend that you get the biggest container that your space will allow. Containers come in all shapes and sizes and of materials. Find one that you really like and that fits your space. Go as big as you possibly can. Go big or go home. Next, make sure that it has a drainage hole. This beautiful blue ceramic glazed pot does have a drainage hole in it because you do not want your container to fill up with water if you have a big rainstorm, right? So it must have a drainage hole. With that being said, the next step is to get a great potting soil. I only use the Proven Winners potting soil. I find that here in North Carolina, it has a great balance of retaining moisture, but yet draining at the same time. It does have some slow release fertilizer in there that gives our plants a nice jump start to the season. So that is always helpful. So I always use the Proven Winners potting soil. And then the next step is probably sometimes the hardest for folks to figure out: choosing your plants. Now, there are 1,000 different ways that you can go about picking the plants that go in your container, but there are a few basic guidelines that you probably want to consider when choosing your plants. First of all, they need to have the same sun requirements. You want to have plants that are either shade-loving plants, sun-loving plants, or somewhere in between. For example though, I don't want to pick a full sun-loving plant like a salvia and pair it with a hosta who loves shade. Those two are not going to go well together. So same sun requirements. They need to have the same water requirements. Do they love lots of water? Do they like to be on the dry side? Or are they just average? Today we're going to use plants that all have just moderate water requirements, but you would not want to say pair a portulaca that likes it dry, tends to be on the dry side, with a plant that loves it more consistently moist like an alyssum. Those two would not go together well. Somebody's going to suffer in the growing season. And then once you've kind of figured those out, start with your plants. Now here at the Garden Center, a lot of times people are like, well Jenny, I love this one plant, but I don't know what to pair with it. Well, Proven Winners, this is one of the reasons, the many reasons that we love Proven Winners, is because if you go to their website, so go to www.provenwinners.com, plug in the plant that you just love. Let's say it is this, the new salvia. This is unplugged pink. Type in unplugged pink, go to that plant's page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and at the bottom you will see this information and it'll say recipes. Click on recipes, and then they show you all these different combinations that use that plant, and they pair it with plants that they know will perform well with it. They tell you how many you need, they tell you exactly how to place them in the pot, and so forth. It is fantastic. I have used that tool many times. Now, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start planting. Again, I've got my great pot, I got my potting soil, and I like to fill it all the way up. Something I always tell my people: do not put something in the bottom of your container to just fill space, right? You want to make sure that you use good quality potting soil and that you fill it all the way up. So here in the South, we have an abundance of pine cones. So sometimes people will fill their container up like the bottom with pine cones, trying to save some money on potting soil. Guess what? Those plants don't get any nutrition from pine cones. Pine cones don't retain water. Always want to fill it up completely with potting soil. Now, again, we are going to use the beautiful unplugged pink, new salvia, just gorgeous fuchsia color. This is a gallon size. So this is going to be our thriller. So there is kind of a little bit of a guideline that you can choose to use where you have the thriller, filler, and spiller. So that's what we're going to kind of follow today. And the unplugged pink is going to be our thriller. Thriller is the one, sounds just kind of like what you think it is. It's kind of the biggest, fills up, and it grabs your eye to the container. So You can see that a 1 gallon plant almost fills up this whole thing. Next, we are going to switch it up and we are going to use a perennial with annuals. Yes, we are, because I thought it would be really fun to do what we call a monochromatic look, right? A container, meaning we're going to use kind of that same deep purple color in this container. So this is a Euchera Dolce Wildberry. Now, you might think of Eucheras as being more on the shade-loving side. Well, this one can do sun or shade. So it is fantastic. It too is a gallon. So we're gonna squeeze her down in there. And we are gonna kind of tip it a little bit on its side so that you can see all that gorgeous color. It will retain this beautiful color all season long. And then come fall, you can actually leave this in the container, take out your annuals, and then put in some cool weather annuals, maybe some violas or some pansies, whatever it is, and keep it year round. Next, so this will be also, so we've got the Thriller. The Wildberry is our filler. It fills in, and then we're gonna do our spiller. This is the Super Bells Black Currant Punch. And so with the spiller, it spills, it does exactly what it says. It's gonna spill over. I have 3. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to squeeze 3 in here. We're gonna see how it goes. And that's another thing, is once you get your container and you actually have your plants in your hand, you may just have to make a little bit of some adjustments. And it's all right. That's gardening. You just go with the flow. I think 2 is gonna do it just fine. Once you have all your plants in your container, you wanna go back through and make sure that you don't have any little pockets of emptiness inside the container. So you want to make sure that all the roots have soil all the way around them, because of course your soil is going to hold your moisture, it's going to hold the food, and so you want to fill in. And I like to take my little grande cup that I just had a plant in and use that because it's nice and it will fit into those little spaces. So there you go. Now, how are we going to maintain this container? So when you have a container, with you alone with the rain, right? So you and the rain are the 2 sources of water that your container is going to get. So you want to make sure that you are on a regular schedule and that you are consistently watering your container. Early in the spring, maybe it's only once every 3 days, but come August, maybe it's once a day, twice a day, depending on where you live and where your container is. So you want to make sure that it has consistent moisture and that you feed it. So I told you that the Proven Winners potting soil has the slow release fertilizer in there. That is a great jump start, but what you need to do is come back through with a really high quality water soluble fertilizer like Proven Winners, and you need to feed your container, I would say once every 7 to 10 days. The way that you use your water soluble fertilizer is really easy. It comes with 2 pouches inside and a great little scoop. So it is 1 scoop of fertilizer per 1 gallon of water. I have a 2 gallon watering can, so I'll put 2 scoops of fertilizer into my watering can, and then when I'm supposed to normally water my container, I just use that watering can with the food and I'll water the container. So make sure though that you are getting that more at the root level and not just up top, because the vast majority of the nutrients are going to come up through the roots and not on your foliage. So you're going for the soil, not necessarily the foliage. So we're going to get this sweet thing watered in, and then we'll meet back here. All right, folks, so the plants are all nice and well watered into the container. A few more tips that I have for you. 1, save your tags. Whatever plants that you used in your arrangement, go ahead and save them. And then what I like to do is take them and tuck them deep down into the pot, kind of in the back where you don't see them. That way, at the end of the growing season, if you really loved one of those plants, or maybe you love the whole combo and you want to redo it the next year, that way you can take the tags out, save them in your gardening journal, and reuse them. Because I don't know about you, but the biggest lie that I tell myself is, oh, I'll remember that, I won't forget. And inevitably, I always do. So This container is going to be fantastic because it'll go in the sun. The hummingbirds are going to come like crazy to this unplugged pink salvia. These salvias are notorious for bringing in the hummingbirds and the butterflies and all the pollinators, as is the Super Bell's black currant punch. The hummingbirds love to come feed on these plants. It is going to spill over and be absolutely gorgeous. And then of course our wild berry euchera right here in the spring. It has got these beautiful dainty little blooms on it. Once the blooms are done, you can cut them back and then enjoy all of the gorgeous foliage that it will give you year round. As always, I hope you have found this helpful and informative. Y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.